This is Andrew Platt, and I'm going to show you our new web app called Speakable. On the left-hand side, we have our administrator view. In this case, I have a Spanish course that I made with Units 1 and 2, and I can see my current members of my course. On the right-hand side, I have the students view, which shows the same information, the corresponding class, which is Spanish, and the current members of that class and their corresponding points. Below that, I have Unit 1. Inside of Unit 1, I have something called a conversation and flashcards. Each of these use voice recognition as well as text-to-speech technology built into our app. If I click on Unit 1 of my administrator interface, I can see that I have the following two sets: Greet a Friend, which appears right here, and Greetings flashcards, which also appear right here. If I click open the Greetings flashcards, I can see the flashcards that are inside this particular set. I'm going to go ahead and open up Greetings flashcards right now because the priority is to show you the student view first and then show you how we can build our own language app with Speakable. So we have three modes of learning: learn, practice, and quiz. And you'll notice practice and quiz for this set are actually closed right now. I first need to practice or finish learn, and then I'll open up practice and then finally quiz. In learn mode, we get a few instructions initially here. It says, I just need to attempt the flashcard, and then my flashcard will be counted as completed. In this particular case, this flashcard has English on the front. However, I can put whatever I want on the front. Could be a question in Spanish, and the backside will be my voice recognition Spanish. So there you can hear this is in Spanish.
Hola.
I can listen, and I can listen slower if I need to pronounce something. Hola. So once I get that correct, I'll actually get the green check mark here in this case. If I go on to the following, this is how are you, so we would assume that would be ¿Cómo estás?
¿Cómo estás?
And let's say I do have trouble pronouncing that, so I can listen slower.
¿Cómo estás?
¿Cómo estás? And once again, I get the green check mark for saying it correctly.
¿De dónde eres?
¿De dónde eres? And finally, I've completed all three of those flashcards, but I could have as many flashcards as I wanted in this particular set. Going down, you'll notice now level 2 practice has opened. So what's inside level 2? Well, you'll notice the following. This is multiple choice initially, so I get +1 for choosing it correctly the first time, and 2 points for saying the word or phrase correctly. Once I finish this mode, I can move on to quiz mode. So it's the same flashcards here, but you'll notice this time, since I only have 3 flashcards, I only have 3 multiple choice options. So in this case, this would be hello, hola. And I get a total of 3 points for each flashcard, and these repeat on a daily basis. So your students could come back tomorrow and earn points from these flashcards again.
¿Cómo estás?
¿Cómo estás? And I get additional points. Finally, my last flashcard. Got that correct.
¿De dónde eres?
¿De dónde eres? Okay, now I've completed this level. I can continue practicing these, however, I won't get any points. So if I move back to this, we'll finally notice that the quiz level has opened up in my flashcards. So let's say I've practiced enough and I'm ready for the quiz. So here we get a little warning. I get 10 seconds to say each word or phrase, and when I get it correct, I get 10 points. So I'm ready for the quiz. Here we go. And you'll notice the timer below. Hola. So next will appear, how are you? ¿Cómo estás? So what this level does is it randomly selects half of the flashcards in the set. In this case, I only had 3 flashcards, so it selected 2 of them and presents me those every day. You'll notice I can only play once a day for this as well. That prevents students from accumulating thousands of points. So this encourages daily practice. So that's flashcards. They include voice recognition and text-to-speech that's automatically generated. all you have to do as a teacher is just type in the words or phrases and their translations, as I'll show you in just a minute. Before I do that, I'd like to show you something which is our next tool called conversation. In conversation, as the name implies, we're going to have a conversation with the computer in this case. So if I go to learn mode, just like flashcards, this also has a learn, practice, and quiz mode. In learn mode,
Hola.
I'm going to see translation. So as you'll notice, this looks something like a text message conversation. Un placer conocerte.
Un placer conocerte también. ¿De dónde eres?
And you'll notice in this particular case, I'm having a conversation, obviously in Spanish, because that's the course language. But I also have the translations beneath it. So in this particular case, I just input this dialogue, as well as the English and Spanish translations, and our app does the rest for you. Soy de Chicago. ¿Dónde eres tú?
Soy de España. Era un placer conocerte también. Adiós.
So finally, I finished the conversation, and I'm allowed to move on to the next round. So this yellow box indicates some type of hint or clue that we want to add, or maybe contextual information. In the next level, if I go to practice, if I go back to the conversation practice,
Hola.
you'll notice I actually have multiple choice here in this case. So I need to pick one of these to say correctly. Un placer conocerte. In this case, I get 3
Un placer
points.
conocerte también. ¿De dónde eres?
I get 3 points for each line of the conversation that I get correctly. Soy de Chicago. ¿Dónde eres tú?
Soy de España. Era un placer conocerte también. Adiós.
So finally, level 3 conversation. I
Hola.
have a quiz, and in this case, I get 10 points for each one. But now I need to say nice to meet you in Spanish. Un placer conocerte.
Un placer conocerte también. ¿De dónde eres?
So in all of these cases, I get progressively more difficult in my performance and correspondingly more points. So these are the different features you can use. And obviously, I can divide these up into different units. So for example, if you wanted to divide Unit 1 with different flashcards and conversations, then Unit 2, I could do that. Right? If you want to delete units as you go along, you can do that as well. So how do I build all this? How do I incorporate so much and do it easily? Well, that's where our speakable-admin.web.app comes into play, which is our administrator portal. So you're going to enter via Facebook, create a profile. And when you create a profile, you're going to be asked to create an institution. The institution essentially is you yourself, the classes that you're going to manage. So if you're a Spanish teacher and teach 3 different levels of Spanish, right, you would select your supported languages as English, because that's our native language, or primarily the native language of your students, and Spanish. However, if you're an ESL class with, say, speakers who are Italian, Spanish, Japanese, Chinese, Vietnamese, it doesn't matter. You can actually select all of those supported languages, and I'll show you how to work with them in just a minute. Description, enter some type of description for your class, and the name of your institution simply can be your name if you'd like. So I'm going to leave that as it is. Finally, I get to my courses screen. In this case, I've already had 3 courses built in 3 different languages, and for our sake, I'm going to show you my Spanish class. When I add a new course, all I simply have to do is put in the course name, so it could be Spanish 1 or 2, depending on the level, a description of that course, and then your course language. In this case, it's going to be one of the supported institution languages that you picked, but of course, you can always add more later if you needed to through the Edit Institution. So, and then the default user language in this case would be English, and let's say we're making a Spanish class, my course language would be Spanish. Now, I've already built that for us. So let's go ahead and edit my class by clicking the I button here. Once I'm inside my course, I notice here's my name, the native language for the course, and then this join code. Your students are going to need that code in order to join this particular class. So they'll need both the institution code, which is listed here, which allows them to join you as a teacher or your institution. And then secondly, your particular class, which may be different depending on whether you're in, say, Spanish 1 or Spanish 2 or any other level. Finally, I want to start making units, and then within the units, I'll build sets. So if I click on unit, I can add a new unit name. I'm not going to put anything in here, but I'll put in unit 3. So I just created a new unit. Now, this gets updated immediately, so I will have unit 3 in here, but there's nothing in there, so I don't need to put anything in there for now. Why don't I go ahead and edit unit 1 for you guys to show you how everything works. So in this unit, remember how I have greet a friend over here in conversation? Well, that's a conversation here, and greetings flashcards are located right here as well. So how do I build those flashcards? Well, first of all, I can add a set name. In this case, it's greetings flashcards. I can name that to greeting a friend flashcards as well, and that should update automatically as well. So let's say I have flashcards that exist. In this case, I have flashcards saved in my library. I have a whole bunch. Now, I'm going to show you guys, for the sake of this, how to add or edit flashcards within the set. And if I'm going to do that, I'm going to click this button that says Add Edit Flashcards in Set. In this particular case, I've got my 3 flashcards that I built already, which is the hello, and you'll notice these different languages here. And on top, I've got Spanish and Italian. Let's say I have Italian students in my class, and I want the front side of that card to be Italian. Well, I can actually show that as well by choosing my language as Italian. And we'll notice here that the front side of the flashcard is ¿Cómo estás? Instead of ¿Cómo estás?
¿Cómo estás?
So, which is this flashcard right here, flashcard 2. Flashcard 1 will show my ciao,
Hola.
which corresponds to this part of the flashcard here. Okay, but again, I can change this to whatever I want. So it could be a question, or it could be a statement. So for example, if I wanted to add how are you in a response as hello, it'll appear immediately, how are you? And then hola would be right there.
Hola.
Or if you wanted to say ¿Cómo estás? On this front side, we can also do that, and then the response on the back side. Over here, image upload, just drag and drop an image that you downloaded from the internet. Now, if I want to add a new flashcard, a really nice feature we've added here is the auto translate. So I want to translate, in this case, let's say I'm a native speaker of English. I want to go from English. I'm just going to show you all languages for now. So why don't we say, my name is Andrew. When I'm done with it, I click space, and you're going to see it's going to auto-translate in both languages. Mi nombre es Andrew, or mi llamo Andrew. So I just added that flashcard now, and I can actually scroll over, and I'll actually see that appear. Now I haven't added an image, but you'll notice
Mi nombre es Andrew.
that this is still in Spanish. If I create a course in Italian, I can still use this flashcard in Italian as well, so that would have Italian voice recognition. So that's how I create flashcards. I click Save, and now Unit 1 has all of the flashcards that I added from before. Now, how do I build a conversation? Well, building a conversation, not too much more difficult. It's about the same. If I go home, I can see my flashcards. I have all the flashcards that I've ever made in here. If I go back, I have conversations, and in this case, I've only built one conversation. So let's go ahead and build a conversation now. So showing you the one we just went through, which is called greet, I'll show you what that looks like. So I'm going to put in a name, a description for that conversation, and different languages. In this case, if I did have students who spoke Italian in my class as well that were learning English or Spanish or whatever I was doing, I can just add support for those different languages. So when I add a line, I'm going to select from the following: hint, the user, what the user says, or a bot. The hint is typically used for context, like you enter a restaurant and greet a friend, or you arrive to the park. Right? The user is what the user is going to say in your course language. Hola, ¿cómo estás? The bot is the computer that responds to the user. So if we go back here, we can see this is the predetermined conversation that we have. This is the bot symbol. So the bot says hello. as we saw before. In this case, they say hola in Spanish. Hello appears as the translation. So if I click back here,
Hola.
I see hello and hola. If I change my language to Italian, that would actually change this phrase down here to Italian, the converted language. Un placer conocerte.
Un placer conocerte también. ¿De dónde eres?
And you can see un placer conocerte was my second line right here. My third line was un placer conocerte también. ¿De dónde eres? So I just follow the conversation with switching between user and bot. I can even have the bot multiple times in a row with the user, or even the hint, which is represented with this letter I. So that's how I build a conversation. Going back to my courses, again, I can see going to my different courses. And if a user needs to join other courses, they can do that as well. They can click the join code, type in this join code right here. I've already joined this Italian class, so I'm going to join it there. And I'm going to select a unit to see what this looks like. So inside of this, I have
Ciao.
And you'll notice I have the Italian accent now. Now this voice recognition and text-to-speech are in Italian. Ciao. Ciao.
Come stai?
Come stai?
Il mio nome è.
So as we can see, we can build flashcards, conversations, going from any language to any other language. I'm thrilled to get new teachers working on this, so please send me a message below on the website if you have any questions regarding Speakable. Right now, we're looking for a number of teachers to try our software out, so please send us feedback. We're developing more module types besides voice-activated flashcards and conversation, so I'd love to hear your feedback about any other tools we could build for you. Thank you.